Hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of Faculty 4 to this event. My name is Benjamin Blankertz. The pleasure of this welcome comes to me in my role as Dean of Studies at Faculty 4. And otherwise, I'm heading the neurotechnology group, and one of our research topics is brain-computer interfacing. So in case you are interested, you're very welcome to visit our courses on brain-computer interfacing. I will keep my introduction short. And therefore there will be no discussions. So you can post questions to the chat and the Q&A of Zoom. And right after this introduction, the student initiative Freitagsrunde will give you all kinds of practical advice and support from the student perspective in the How-to Studium session. And also, before I start with the actual presentation, I would sincerely like to apologize to you. I know that there are a lot of administrative problems with the registration, with the enrollment procedure that we are facing. We have foreseen this a little bit, and we try to counteract this situation, not to have a start like this, but it didn't work out completely. So there are still some problems, and I know that they affect you strongly with your start here at TU Berlin. So we are still trying ways how to get around and to get some workarounds to make it bearable to some degree, but I know it's a bad situation, so I'm really sorry for this, and we have to improve on that, I know. Yeah, for this welcome, I have three main points for you: the introduction to our faculty, some remarks on studying in the pandemic, and most importantly, some helpful addresses and services. And at last, I would like to talk about the opportunity of studying abroad. Our faculty consists of two branches, electrical engineering and computer science, and these make up the acronym EECS that you will encounter from time to time. We have about 3,700 students at our faculty, of which 30% are international students. The ratio of students to professors is roughly 100 to 1. So it is vital that we are supported by scientific and administrative and technical staff, and also by about 230 students who help as tutors and support courses. Also, one thing that might be of interest to you is that our faculty is very active in company foundings. We have the strongest founding rate among the faculties at TU Berlin. And so if you consider launching a startup after your master or your PhD, get informed. There are different ways how TU supports you in this endeavor. The pandemic is significantly impacting teaching and also the faculty-student interaction. In the last 3 semesters, we have gained quite some experience and found new formats for good teaching under these restrictions. And in the Upcoming semester, the restrictions are relieved a little bit, such that more interaction and a few face-to-face courses will be possible again. Still, the TU crisis team has decided that the distance rules apply in the courses, and therefore the capacity of our rooms is so limited that face-to-face teaching is only possible to a small extent, and most courses will be held digitally. Yeah, and the courses have been coordinated in a way such that in each degree program, at least one face-to-face course will take place. Yeah, importantly, note that the situation and consequently also the regulations change dynamically. So keep yourself informed, check your email address regular, and also the announcement of the ISIS courses that you are taking, and also visit corresponding web pages of TU Berlin and the faculty frequently. The keyword web page brings me to the next part, where I would like to introduce some helpful addresses and services. And for in order that the web pages of TU really help you to get informed and do not confuse you, I have to make one remark first. The web pages of TU are being modernized and transferred from the old server tuberlin.de to tu.berlin. Unfortunately, the process of transition was interrupted and delayed by the IT hack that hit our university hard at the end of April. And so we cannot change the web pages that you find at tuberlin.de. So there's partly outdated information there. On the other hand, on the new server tu.berlin, there are so far only a few pages, central pages, but at least these are contain current information. So one important source of information is from the faculty, from the webpage of our faculty, which is on the old tuberlin.de server. But since this is like very important spot, this is indeed updated by our press department who have access to this. So there you will find most important information for you, and also about this introductory week and so on. A helpful service is a student advisory service, which is run by students who give advice to other students, for example, regarding questions on your courses of study and exam regulations, and so on. And you will get to know them soon, because they moderate the introduction sessions that are given to each individual degree program, and most of them take place tomorrow. There will be a schedule at the end of this presentation. In addition, the mentoring team will be on hand to help you get started to studying and to student life in general. And a particular event for you to get to know the campus and the fellow students that I would like to advertise here is a campus rally taking place next week on Friday, I think it is, and it starts in front of the main building of TU, and you will get more information about that later. Next, I would like to introduce three student initiatives. The Freitagsrunde represents you in all kinds of committees, and also they provide collections, for example, of previous written exams, protocols of oral exams, and they support you in many aspects. You are very welcome to join the Freitagsrunde and play an active part. Just contact them. Specifically for the digital media and technology students, there's also the M-Initiative. And Infranet is a project run by the women's representative of our faculty, Jane Baumann, to support female students and to build a network of them. To get more information, you can enroll in the ESIS course given in the link here, and also by visiting the introduction event that takes place next Tuesday. Also, a good way for networking is a Matrix chat server that TU runs since 1 year, and there will be more specific information provided by Freitagsrunde right after this introduction. And finally, the direct path to specific information about courses and related topics is to interact directly with lecturers, research associates, and tutors who run the courses. So I encourage you to get in touch and ask directly. As a last part, I would like to draw your attention to the possibility of gaining experience abroad as part of your studies and expanding your competences at different levels. We got a lot of positive feedback from students who took advantage of such opportunities. And for example, there's a possibility to spend a semester at a university abroad or to an internship there. In addition, there's a possibility to take part in a double degree program where you, in your master study, you're enrolled at 2 universities, TU and a partner university abroad. And you do a joint master, and then in the end you get a certificate from both universities. So that's quite an interesting opportunity. So if you are, and yeah, my advice is, if this sounds interesting to you, one of these opportunities, get informed in time and prepare well. So you can do so, for example, at our faculty information session on October 27th via Zoom under this link. And also in each spring, there's an international week at TU with a specific session given by our faculty also. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, this brings me almost to the end. Finally, here's a reference to the introductory events for the individual degree programs. Of course, you can find this schedule also on the faculty webpage about the introductory week. With that, I would like to say goodbye and wish you a wonderful start and much success. And now I pass on to the Freitagsrunde and How to Studium.
Can you hear me? All right. Hello. We're the Freitagsrunde. We're a student initiative here at the Faculty 4. We're not specific to any degree program. So as long as you're involved with the Faculty 4, you can always come to us if you've got issues, you want to socialize anything. And now we will shortly introduce ourselves. I'm Wolfhard. I started studying computer science here at TU in the master 2 years ago. I did my bachelor at another university, and when I came here, I missed the how TU talk, unfortunately. So you already did quite well attending here. I hope there's a lot of valuable information for you.
Hi there, my name is Kai. I'm studying computer engineering here, and I have been doing so for about 5 years now. And yeah, come visit us.
Hi, I'm Frederik. I'm also studying computer engineering and also for 5 years now. Also did my bachelor's here. Yeah, I sort of stay behind the camera and answer all your questions and stick to the chat and stuff.
Yeah, hi, and I'm Gerion. I'm studying information systems management for about 3 years. And yeah, I'll be responsible for all the technical setup that we do today to give you this lecture, or will be kind of a lecture today. So stay tuned.
All right, so let's begin with the talk. These slides will be accessible online, so you will see a lot of links in the slides, and there will be a lot of figures, and maybe you cannot always follow them during the presentation, but don't worry, you can all look it up later in your own time. And yeah, all right, so first of all, we will explain to you the framework of rules for your studies here. So there is this is the hierarchy of the laws regulating your studies here. At the very bottom, there is the Berliner Hochschulgesetz, which is the Berlin University law, and it basically it applies to all universities in Berlin and sets like the meta rules for studying in Berlin. Then after it, there is the Allgemeine Studien- und Prüfungsordnung, which is the general study and examination regulation. It defines the all the regulations specific to TU, and this is applicable to all degree programs here. And then at the very top, there is the Studienprüfungsordnung specific to your degree program. So this one is different for each degree program. And as a general rule of thumb, you will probably never have to look into the Berliner Hochschulgesetz, but you will definitely encounter the general and the degree program specific regulations multiple times during your studies. So you don't have to know them. You don't have to know them completely in your head, but you should be familiar with their structure and have a look at them once. So when you need to look something up, you know where to find it and can look it up quickly. Today we'll be mostly talking about the Allgemeine Studienprüfungsordnung because this talk is not specific to any degree program. And the paragraph at the top right corner indicates the source document and the paragraph which define the contents on the slide. So this is just an example. So here, this paragraph basically defines this regulation hierarchy. And in other slides, when we will show you some figures and diagrams, and you want to know more about the background, when there is such a paragraph specified at the top right corner, this is where you can find more information about it. All right. Since universities are quite bureaucratic and there are a lot of complicated terms, talking about these in another language and not using the original German terms can sometimes be quite difficult. So for this use case, there is the online glossary, which contains hopefully all the important words and their official translations. So you can always refer to this one. Okay, now let's guide you through the unfortunately still mostly digital semester. And we want to give you an example walk through the semester where you can basically see all the important steps along the timeline of the semester. Don't worry, this figure is a bit much right now. You don't have to read it all right now. You don't have to fully grasp it. We will walk you along this timeline and all of its steps and tell you the important things when we get there. This is just an overview for now. So, and in case we are speaking too fast, you cannot understand us, or you have specific questions, you can also use the office hours of the Student Advisory Service. Especially within the first 2 weeks of the semester, they have special additional time slots. They are announced on the website, which you can find at the link on the slide here. And even outside of the time slots, if you have urgent questions, just pop up and they will gladly assist you. If you have questions about the things we address in this talk, please wait until the end. We will have a round of questions and discussion at the end. We will try to answer everything during the talk, and a lot of questions will hopefully vanish until then. So at the start of the semester, the lecture period hasn't started yet, and your studies mostly consist of self-organization. So you have to choose your modules according to your degree program and its regulations. You should get in touch with fellow students, use the time you have now to make contact, to meet people for group assignments or study groups. And you also have to register for some courses like tutorials via Moses before the start of the lecture period. And we will walk you through all of these now. So another thing that's really important is all administrative changes and announcements are communicated via email. So your email account will be accessible after your matriculation. So if you're not matriculated yet, unfortunately, you cannot access your emails yet. But as soon as you have access to your emails, read them regularly. They are really important, especially in this hybrid online semester where there might be a lot of short-term changes. And also be careful because if you use forwarding, the mails might end up in spam. So check your configuration. There are guides available online from the ZECM, which is the Zentraleinrichtung Campus Management. So it's like the central institution for campus management. They offer guides for integrating the TU mail in your favorite mail clients and more. And now we want to show you Matrix, which is the official chat service of the TU. It also offers encryption, and Gerion will give you a hands-on right now so you can dive right into it and start making contact there.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have this matrix at TU Berlin, and it's really handy because it allows you to chat with your fellow students securely and with as much privacy in mind as possible, because it's all hosted on premise at TU Berlin. So what we do is first we have to sign in. We do this with our credentials. We've gotten, hopefully already I've gotten from completing our matriculation. In this case, I have a test user right here, and now I can sign in, and I can probably fix this because I actually put on the wrong password, and I'm not sure why this is the wrong password, but I hopefully will find it out quite soon. All right, there was a space in the back. All right, so Matrix has a feature where messages can be encrypted, but in order to encrypt them, you need to verify your session, because yes, security-wise, it would be a bad idea to just store the keys on the server. So you have to unlock your keys. For that, you need some security keys that you need to download. I'll come back to that in just a second. For now, we skip this, and we enter our matrix UI element, it's called. And we now have the opportunity to join chat rooms, and we can just search for them. For example, I can explore public rooms and join the Freitagsrunde channel, which is our channel, which you can join from everywhere. And yeah, quick notice, most of the discussion will be in German there, but you can also ask English questions in English, and you will get answers in English. So just head there and join that room, and yeah, you can talk to us and talk to lots of students if you like to do so. There also is an info channel. Specifically for for this week's or for this round of introductory students, or for this introductory week. There should also be one in English. I think it's not set to public yet. So meanwhile, you can also join the German one. The English one is called Info Channel. I'll take care of this in a second. But yeah, you can join that, and we'll put their information about this introductory week. What are events that you can join? When do some events happen? The introduction for your degree programs and such. If you don't have a Matrix account provided by TU Berlin, don't worry. There's also the option to join the official or create an account at matrix.org, which is the open for everyone Matrix server, and you can still join our rooms by doing that. You can explore a public room, enter the URL for the channel you want to join, in this case the ECS eWoche 2021 info canal, and if we just press enter, then we're able to join that info channel even without having a TU account. So you can still use Matrix without being properly matriculated. You can just cannot use every channel that is offered. Speaking of the security aspect, and I've briefly cut into that. So there's this security thing, and what you need to do, or what you're prompted to do first when you sign up for the first time, is you download your encryption keys so that you can upload them later, and that you can verify a session. This should look something like this. So you're prompted to set up a secure backup, and then you can generate a security key, download that one, or just copy it into your clipboard and put it somewhere else. You continue, and then you're good to go. You have these keys, and you can upload them again if necessary. You can also verify multiple devices, and or you can log in with multiple devices and then verify them against each other. That's also a very handy way to not get lost with your keys, because I mean, nothing really bad happens when you lose your keys, but you won't be able to see older messages, which still can be an inconvenience. So yeah, that's Matrix. You can use it. And you can use it to communicate with fellow students and with us and get information.
All right. So, now at the beginning of the semester, before the lectures, you also want to get your timetable. So you want to know which courses to attend at which times. And in order to get your timetable, you have to look at your degree program first. So the degree program determines the structure of your studies. So there are a few main components. There are at first the compulsory modules. Those are modules which you have to pick, and you have to take the exam and pass it. This is there is no way of getting out of that. Then there are the compulsory electives. So they are like semi-compulsory because there are certain catalogs defined in your degree program, which you can pick from. And usually you have to look at the specific regulations, but usually you have to take modules with a certain amount of credits from one catalog of your choice. And then each catalog defines a set of modules which can be accounted for fulfilling this catalog. And then there are also the electives, which do not have any compulsory component at all. So you can just freely pick any module you like. It can be anything offered by the TU Berlin. It can even be modules offered at other Berlin universities. And very important, if you're doing an exchange semester in another country, it can also be those modules from a foreign university. So this one really gives you a lot of freedom, especially for looking outside of your own specialization and outside of your own degree program. Yeah, so use this choice wisely. And then, of course, there are some other regulations, for example, regarding the thesis or like internships and things like that. And for each degree program, there is a recommended degree schedule. So here you can see a few snippets from different degrees. They just to show you how different they can look. They are designed such that you can, if you follow them, complete your studies within the standard time to degree of your program. But do not worry if you don't manage to stick to the schedule. If you find that another order of the modules fits your personal learning style better, or if you don't manage to take 30 credits per semester, for example, because you're working on the side and gaining some valuable experience there, there is no shame in exceeding the time till degree. And so in general, for bachelor degrees, the time to degree is 6 semesters. For masters, it is 4 semesters. But the average student takes longer than that. All right, so about modules, as you've seen, the base unit of every degree program is the modules. And so we have to talk about how modules are structured. First of all, there is a module description, which defines it at the most crucial level. And for the reference at the right here, this is the page number at which you can find more information about this topic in the introductory week booklet. So there is a booklet both available in print and digitally. The link will be at the end of the slides, which also contains some more extensive written information about these topics, just for reference. Yeah, okay, so the module descriptions can be found in the module database, MTS. MTS is short for Module Transfer System. And you can also search modules by name or get them sorted by degree programs and the different catalogs of the specializations offered in the program. The module description defines basic aspects like how many credits does the module yield, which person is responsible for maintaining the module, and things like that. And this just shows the very top of it. We will see further parts of the module description at later points during the presentation. It also defines the courses which make up the module. So for example, the lectures and tutorials. And in general, 1 credit point is equivalent to 30 hours of work. That's just a rule of thumb. You will see that it won't always work out this way, but it's useful for determining how much time you should allocate for a module at the beginning of the semester. All right. So those courses, they are basically the teaching units making up the module. And there are different course types. So the ones which you will encounter most often is probably the Vorlesung, which is lecture. And lectures often come along with Übungen, which is exercises or tutorials. And then, especially in the compulsory electives, there are also seminars and projects. So lectures are usually just sitting there and taking in the knowledge. The exercises and tutorials are about practicing it in theory. And the projects are usually hands-on. So often there is no lecture at all, and you're assigned a specific task at the beginning of the semester and are expected to complete it autonomously. Like, of course, you get some guidance and you can ask for help anytime, but you're expected to mostly work autonomously and just gain some scientific experience. And the seminars are usually about simulating writing a research paper. Not always, but most often you're basically walking through the process of writing and publishing a paper in a conference to get you introduced to these workflows. All right. For the courses making up the modules, there is a course directory. This also specifies the times of these courses. So now we're getting close to getting your actual timetable. You can see if the courses for big modules with a lot of participants, there are usually multiple alternative dates for the different courses. For example, the course you're seeing here is a tutorial for a basic math course from a bachelor degree. And you can see for the tutorial here, there are a lot of alternative dates. So this would be an extreme case. Usually it would not look this stuffed. But what's important here is that you only pick one date for each course of the module. And you try to pick the one which best fits your personal schedule. All right. And this tool is also the one which allows you to build your schedule. So at the bottom, you can choose the Termingruppen, which is the event groups for tutorials, and export them and import them into your Moses schedule if you're logged in. And what's important here is this does not register you for the module. It's just an online calendar. So this is only for your personal use. Alternatively, instead of searching for the module for the courses individually, you can also specify your degree program, and then specify the examination regulations for your program for which you're matriculated, and then get a list of the courses contained in it and start from there. And other than that, we really encourage you to just go hands-on, try it yourself. It's a very useful tool, and you should really get familiar with it. All right. So as I said, there are different types of teaching units, and there is something special about tutorials. Because for most teaching units, there is no registration. For example, for a lecture, basically you just go there, sit there and listen, or if it's online, you just watch on your screen. But for tutorials, there is a registration, and it has a very early deadline in the semester. The registration happens via the Moses portal, and the deadline is already in less than 2 weeks. So you should get going and register if you haven't yet. Registering for the tutorial means you're getting assigned a seat in the room for the room planning if it's taking place in present. and that someone is correcting your homework if there is homework in the class. It does not mean that you have to visit the tutorial if you don't deem it necessary to learn about the contents, and if you're an autodidact, there is no problem with that. And this does not register you for the exam of the module. This only gives you a slot in the tutorial. If you're in doubt, it's smart to register for more tutorials than you actually need and drop out later, because at the beginning of the semester, you never quite know which modules you will finally end up taking the exam in. But of course, be aware this might clog up your schedule, and it might also lead to being assigned less optimal times for the tutorials because there will be more potential collisions. Moses also allows registering in groups. So for some tutorials, there are groups for the homeworks and the assignments, which is available after registering for a specific course. And it is advised that you try to form groups before your registration with people whom you know and get along well with. But most likely in your master, you won't attend many tutorials because tutorials are mostly in the bachelor degrees, but there are some modules in the master programs which actually have tutorials. All right, so the next important platform would be ISIS. It's an acronym for Information System for Instructors and Students. It's named after the ancient Egypt goddess, as you could infer from the other portal name Moses. And this basically contains all the course materials and the meta information for the courses. This usually contains the slides from lectures. It also contains announcements if the lecturer has some administrative things to announce. He will usually post it in the forum there. You can configure it to the language of your preference. And sometimes the ISIS courses don't go live until the first lecture. But you should check if there is an ISIS course already available for the courses you want to visit before the lecture start, because there might be some important information already available there. And again, if you subscribe to a course here, this does not register you for an exam. This does not have any obligatory component. You can always leave without any negative consequence. ISIS usually ends up sending a lot of mails, because for every post in a forum there, you usually get a mail, so you can set up a filter and configure it. Configure it smartly such that you don't get too many mails, but also don't miss important information. For example, you can configure it such that you only get a summary mail once per day. But there is a risk of missing important information if you do this, if there are some short time announcements, especially in the time before the exam. This is important. And yeah, check the ISIS courses regularly. Sometimes there are things posted on the wall outside of the forums, and you do not get a notification mail about it. Yeah.
One thing I want to mention about ISIS, because there is a time of crisis right now. And even though you might not be able to log into ISIS, the examiners and the teachers are advised that they should offer you a guest access to their courses, so that you can at least start participating in them, even though you're not matriculated fully. If someone doesn't offer that, then please write us an email and we'll take care of that, and we'll ask them that they open their ISIS courses to guests, because I mean, there's no fun in studying or starting to study without having access to all the materials you need. So yeah, there shouldn't be any disadvantage for you when you when you're not matriculated correctly. If there is, then please let us know and we'll take care of that.
Yes, thank you, Garion. That's really important, especially because, especially for the master modules, there are some courses with a limited number of participants, and sometimes there are procedures in place for applying to those modules, and then there is a process defined in the general examination regulation for handling this and for assigning the slots to students according to certain priorities defined by your groups, like which study program you're attending. For example, if it's a compulsory module, you will be more likely to get into the course than someone who is taking it as part of their electives, because they would not have to take it to complete their studies. And oftentimes there is a registration procedure for being considered in this procedure in the ISIS courses. So yeah, that's quite important. Yeah, this is basically what I already said now. It usually happens via ISIS. Sometimes there are external tools in use, but this is always announced in the first lecture or somewhere in the module description before, and it usually never happens via MOSIS. Only tutorials have this extra registration via MOSIS. So now you should be well prepared for preparing for your semester, and we're getting into the lecture period. So along the timeline, we are now past the start of the lecture period, and we are getting into the first type of exams. So you start attending lectures, but for some types of exams, it is also important that you already start registering for the module examination. So usually the first lecture contains an overview of all the organizational contents of the module, all of the specific examination regulations, which persons to contact if you have questions who are responsible for the module, and yeah, the usual introduction of the teaching staff and the chair, and an overview of the contents. You should, if you are in doubt which classes you actually want to visit for the whole semester, you should visit more introductory lectures than you than modules which you want to complete at the end of the semester, and choose afterwards, because often the module description is not enough to properly assess the suitability or likability of the module for your personal learning goals and learning pace. So the lecture videos are usually given asynchronously via video on ISIS. Sometimes they are given live via Zoom, and then the link will be contained in the ISIS course. By the way, ISIS also offers a chat functionality. So you can contact the lecturer there if you have some specific organizational questions, or you can also use it to contact potential group members for group assignments. And so we've learned about the structures of the modules, but in order to pass modules, you always have to take some form of exams. So there are three types of exams. There are written exams and oral exams, which are pretty much what you would expect and probably know from your bachelor. And then there are portfolio exams, and this is a special type of exam, which we will talk about in more detail in a few moments. What's important here is that since the pandemic started, a lot of exams are taking place online. So For the written exams, this means that a lot of the written exams have become open book, which means you can use any course material during the exam. And because it is difficult to check if you're using any course materials, so the obvious thing to do is just design the exam in a way that it is that it's not passable by just copying course material. But in some specific cases, some online written exams are not open book. It will always be announced in the lecture, and then there are some specific regulations for how the exam proceeds. Yeah, you will have to pay attention to the lecture there. And so the exam type is always specified as part of the module description, and it is not allowed to deviate from what is specified there during the module. So the examination rules cannot be changed during the semester. They are firmly set within this description. This description contains desirable prerequisites. So those are basically recommendations for modules or topics you should be familiar with before you start this module. But there are also mandatory requirements. For example, sometimes for the participation in the final exam, you need to pass some assignments. And so be careful to read through it so that you are actually able to participate in the exam at the end. And yeah, in some special cases, there are also ungraded exams. If that is so, this is also specified at this point. So now about the portfolio examinations. So other than the written and the oral exam, where your whole grade is decided on a single date, the portfolio examination consists of multiple parts, which are summed up together to make up your total grade for the module. Those parts can be very different. It can be written tests. It can be homework assignments where you have sometimes multiple weeks to complete them. It can also be presentations within the course. And the module description defines how those different components are summed up to the final grade. So usually, not always, but usually they somehow sum up to 100 points, and then there is some grading key applied to it to determine your final grade for the module. What's important here is for portfolio examinations, the registration period ends quite early in the semester. For the written and the oral exams, you can usually register until shortly before the end of the lecture period, or sometimes even afterwards. Always check the dates in the lecture slides. They're usually already mentioned in the first lecture. But for portfolio examinations, you have to register very early because you have to register before the first before you first submit anything that is part of the grading for the module. And this means that for those examinations, the deregistration period is identical with the registration period. You cannot deregister anymore after the registration period ends because you've potentially already submitted something that goes into your grade. And there can be some special cases where you can get out of it with a special permission by the lecturer, but that's very unusual and a lot of hassle. So think well before this time passes, because once you've started attempting the portfolio examination, you have to finish it or you will fail. If you just stop participating after this period, you will fail this module. So there's only one final part missing for successfully taking parts in the modules, which is the enrollment for the exams. So each exam requires an enrollment or a registration. And there are two ways of doing so, depending on the type of modules or depending on how they fit into your degree program. The first one is online via KISSPOS, which unfortunately currently is not available because of the hack. It's planned to go back online at the end of November, but it's not safe yet. There are different registration procedures in place right now. Sometimes the registration is done via MOSIS, sometimes it is done by specific means, and this is always announced in the lecture or in the ISIS course. But we want to show you how it usually works, because we hope that it will get back to work during the semester. So in KISSPOS, you have the modules separated by the categories within your degree program, and you should be aware that for written exams there are often two, or usually there are two dates for the exam for each semester. So you should pick the right date, and you should also pick the right catalog. So for the compulsory electives, sometimes a module can be part of multiple different catalogs, but when you register the module, you also register it specific to a certain catalog within your degree. So be careful here. It can be changed later by contacting the examination office, but it's a bit of a hassle, and it's really easier for everybody involved if you get it right during the registration. Oh yeah, and one more thing that's really important, especially with the registration and the deadlines, is that KISSPOS has opening times. Yes, it's an online service, but it actually has opening times. It is offline every night for maintenance, and it's only open between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m., so 8 to 22 o'clock. And then so sorry, I forgot to say, KISSPOS usually works for compulsory electives and for compulsory modules. For all other types of modules, even when everything is working properly and all of these services that got damaged during the hack are restored, there is another way to register them. So for the electives and also for additional modules, which don't count towards your degree, you use the so-called yellow sheet. The name comes from the color of the paper which it originally had. Nowadays, it's often not yellow anymore. So originally, you had to hand in these sheets by paper and actually hand them into the examination office manually. Since the pandemic started, you can usually send them to the examination office via email, but it's important that you use your official TU mail account for doing this. Otherwise, the registration is not valid. And if you're sending it on the last day of the registration period and they're not responding fast enough, then you might end up not being able to register anymore. And you also always get a confirmation of the registration via email as soon as it is processed, if it had been successfully. Deregistration happens basically the same way. There is another form for it. The link is available in the notes for the slides, which you will be able to access later. So now you should know everything to survive the lecture period. And at this point, the examination period begins, and I will gladly hand over to Kai to explain you how it goes.
Yeah, so since it's pretty tedious for everyone if one lecturer has to talk for about an hour, I give Wolfi some time to relax and walk you through the end period of the semester once the lectures end. Yeah, so this is the timeline. As you can see, we have basically went through each part of the lecture period, and now comes the interesting part, taking the exams. there are, as we have discussed, there are different types of exams. One type is the written exam. This is usually 90 to 240 minutes long, which is very long if you have to take one of those. You rarely have to take one of those, but they are really long. Yeah, so you can wait for the registration until about 1 week before the exam date. So you can, you can take the whole lecture and afterwards decide whether you want to write the written exam. But there was a change in the Alkstupo, so now you only can deregister until 3 days before the exam date. Yeah, we offer a service, an online service, where we put some of the old documents, old exams online, and they can look them up for learning purposes. We also highly encourage you to take notes about the questions that you do remember after an exam, so other people can use these services too to study. Deadlines for sick notes. If you are not able to take an exam because you get sick, you have to hand it in a sick note pretty quickly. So as you can see, if you get sick on the day of the exam, you should probably visit a doctor pretty soon, since you have to hand the sick note in until 5 days after the exam at the latest. The faster, the better. Yeah. An open attempt to take an exam has to be continued. So if you get a sick note, you potentially have to continue taking the exam pretty soon afterwards. Yeah. Okay. After the exam, well, we don't have to tell you you can celebrate. But the other thing is, after you take an exam, there's a certain period that is used for grading, and yeah, afterwards you can go and inspect your results, and the inspection is highly encouraged because everyone can make mistakes also during correcting an exam, and you can also learn something by understanding your own mistakes. And if you cannot make it at all, there's usually a date set for it for everyone. If you can't make it at all, you should send someone else instead, so they can look over the exam for you and find, well, actually get you more points in if someone has made a mistake and got you too little. Okay, grades are pretty standard. You can get a very good grade if you get all the points, which is kind of obvious. Usually, well, the grades are determined via grading keys. They can differ from module to module. There are 3 grading keys set for portfolio examinations, which you can access via the link once the slides have been uploaded. Yeah, they are all pretty standard. So you have usually you fail if you get less than 50% of the points, and more than 50% gives you a 4.0, which is sufficient, but not a very good grade. And they are usually also shown in the module description on Moses. So yeah, there are some a little bit easier grading keys. So if you want to look up courses where it's a little bit easier to get good grades with a few less points, you can do so via Moses too. Okay, we have 2 exam terms, one at the beginning of the lecture-free period, and you can retake the exams or sometimes take the exams for the first time in the second part of the lecture-free period, so towards the last 3 weeks of the lecture-free period. Yeah. Most modules offer 2 exams. Most modules that have a written exam usually offer 2 per semester. This is not always possible with portfolio examinations, but this depends on the lecturer. since there are slots for module for oral examinations, you usually can set them at some point in time in the lecture-free period. Okay, exam repetition. If you fail an exam, this is not a problem on the first try, but you only get 3 attempts. If you fail twice, the module changes from whatever examination it used to be to an oral one. And you should usually ask someone for advice then, because this is not good. If you fail it for the last time, you well, you failed your degree program basically. So if you have some way of electing the modules, so compulsory electives and elective modules can be exchanged. This can happen multiple times if you are in the standard period of study. Period. And yeah, if you want to exchange it, you have to go to the examination office and yeah, submit the corresponding form. Okay. Yeah, there used to be a free shot. There's still a free shot, as Geron informs me. There used to be for the last 3 semesters, and there is one for this semester too. But well, it's due to the pandemic, as you might know, and this was a Berlin-wide regulation. Yeah, you.
Yeah,
please.
I just wanted to add that the free shot is only applicable if you actually attempt the exam. If you do not attend the exam and miss without excuse, you simply fail and it does not count as a free shot. Or if you're caught cheating, it's also not applicable.
Thanks. Okay. Re-registration. After all the exams have ended and you've had a little bit of free time, hopefully, you need to register. There's to re-register. So this usually happens by giving money to the university. So you just, most of you will do some sort of online banking and just send the money to the university, and then it automatically re-registers you. But there's a deadline for it, which should be the 19th of February this semester. And if you miss the deadline, there's a penalty fee. If you do not register at all until the start of the next semester, you probably get unenrolled. So this is not a good idea. This can be done via the TU port, which is an SAP-based system. You can find a lot of things on there, and there is a certain, I hope I can see it. This is a little bit too little. Yeah, thanks. Immatrikulation and Rückmeldung, so it's shown in German, is the menu point where you can find all the information necessary to re-register, such as the information you need to provide also with sending the money, so you can get re-registered automatically, not have to go to the office. Okay. You can also see the status of the re-registration online. So yeah, you should check that after sending the money. After the end of the semester, well, there's the new semester. So it all starts again. And after you re-registered for the next semester, you have to choose all your modules again and make yourself a timetable, and then get to see all the lectures. Okay, this was pretty much everything you need to know about how to register for modules and how to use the tools that are necessary to see the lectures. But we'd like to offer you some tips and tricks, what services there are that can help you additionally. So the TU offers a cloud storage service, which can be pretty useful if you don't have unlimited hard disk space on your devices or want to share it between devices, you can also share folders there with other students. So if you want to work collaboratively, this might be a good idea. There's an OnlyOffice instance that is also connected with TUB Cloud. If you want to work collaboratively via Office programs. There's a Git tool of the TU, reachable under git.tu-Berlin. But once the slides have been uploaded, those things should also contain links. Those pictures should also contain links, so you can just click on them. Overleaf is not a TU intern tool, but it is good if you want to work collaboratively on some hand-ins, since it offers good usability when writing LaTeX. There are remote access tools for connecting to TU's servers. There's the possibility to connect via VPN, so using a shell or some additional software to help you with that. There are guides online how to do that, given by SCAM and campus management. We offer on our own website, wiki.freitagsrunde.org, guides how to use SSH. And there's probably also, for those who like Microsoft-based things and Windows environments, there's also a remote desktop protocol instance. Everything can be Googled and found on the TU websites. Okay, there are 2 software licenses that come with being enrolled at TU Berlin. This is, on the one hand, Office 365, and on the other hand, a MATLAB license. For those who like to use those, I mean, Office is pretty standard, and MATLAB is used by almost all engineers. Okay, new section, who to talk to. In case you have any problems, you can, of course, always ask us. As you can see, we are in our room right now, which is found at the MAR building. We take everything from anonymous feedback. You can contact us with any ideas you have for your studies and the degree programs, and you can just come visit us also and talk to us. We usually can offer some tips and tricks how to get around at TU and to help you with your studies. The Faculty 4 has some other services as well. So there's a student advisory service. If you are unsure what sort of modules you want to take, you can also talk to people about it. There's a mentoring for everyone who's pretty new at TU Berlin. We have an office of the women's representative. So if there is any discrimination happening against you because you're a woman, well, you can ask her. We have someone to talk to when you want to study abroad and gets tips and tricks. And there's an examination board. This is different from the examination office in case there are special cases with exams. Okay, ASTA is probably some shorthand you might have heard before. And this is the General Students Committee. Part of the technical equipment we use right now is lent from the ASTA Technic Pool. So they offer a bunch of services such as Technic Pool, and a finance department that offers advice and help when there are problems paying for, well, tuition kind of. They offer advice if you run into any problems with the university, and yeah, they can also just be visited too, just like us. Okay, did I forget anything? No. TU Berlin offers some help, services for everyone that is not faculty specific. There's such things such as family services. If you have children that need to be, I don't want to say taken care of. Sounds rough. There's psychological counseling. Supervised. Thanks.
Family office more for if you have children and you want to have support with how to manage university and your children. They're there for you, and yeah, also help you with maternity stuff if that's something of interest for you.
Okay. If you have an illness or a disability, there's someone to talk to where you can see if you can get support with that. And of course, what is pretty important for everyone is the examination office, where you can get such things as the yellow sheet and talk to someone if something with your exam registrations went wrong. And the SECM, which is busy, well, keeping all the IT running in the university. And if you encounter any problems, you probably have to talk to them. We have a pretty big university main library. There's certain smaller libraries that are faculty and topic specific. But the main library offers, well, textbooks, obviously, for everyone, which is what it's usually used for. But you can also book sit-down places where you can work, which it is often used for too. And well, you're very close to the books then, so it's probably a good working environment, which is also quiet. A quick tip and trick is to take a lock with you, because there are lockers that you need to apply your own lock to if you want to leave stuff outside. We have the Studierendenwerk, which is is there for everyone studying in Berlin. They run the cafeteria and have a presence there. And they also offer psychological counseling and counseling if you have probably problems financing your studies. And well, they're also known for student housing. I don't know, it probably applies to some of you. Further tips and tricks. Not everyone knows it, but most people already know it. There are these shorthands CT and ST for cum tempore and sine tempore, which basically just means if there are 15 minutes added to the time when you have to be there or not. ST means you sadly have to be on time. It's not a good idea to do all your studies alone. It's usually easier if you talk to some people, get some help, get some support. Help each other, explain stuff to one another. So find a study group. You can ask questions to all your fellow students. You should ask questions to all your fellow students. You can use the ESAS forum for this. For more confidential things, you can always write the teaching assistants or write to the professor's office. But you should, well, be polite, and if you are polite and have a good structure in your emails, you usually get a pretty positive answer if you have run into any problems. Okay, there are office hours offered by the people teaching. So they are usually offered by tutors if you have any questions about the tutorials and sometimes also projects, depending on the lecture you're taking. Most teaching assistants offer them too. Not all professors have regular office hours, but you can usually ask their office if they can make some time for you. It's a good idea to make use of them early in the semester, since they get more and more busy once the exam gets closer. Well, we don't really have to tell you, since you're master's students, you have to watch out for yourself, be self-aware, get the stress off your chest after the exams. especially, and try to find some balance. If you have any problems with that, as mentioned before, you can ask the psychological counseling with the Studierendenwerk or the AStA or the, basically all the services offered at the TU Berlin. And there are sometimes online courses or in-presence courses offered helping you with that. Okay, as mentioned before, if you have any disabilities or anything else that makes it harder for you to keep up with your studies, there are sometimes ways you can be supported with that. And this is also mentioned in the Altstufe, as you can see. And there is an office for that I mentioned before. And also your master students, just don't plagiarize. It's not a good idea. You can get kicked out of the university for that. And just cite everyone that that is worth citing and whose material you use, because that's really a good idea and it shows that you did the work. And citing is generally a pretty good idea and a good feed and makes for good homework and good hand-ins. We recommend that you really read your study and examination regulations. They are not a novel, so you don't always have to read everything. You don't have to start at the beginning. You can find the sections that apply to you, and then just read those sections. It's a good idea to familiarize yourself with it because, well, all your studies depend on them. And if you want to have advantages in your studies, or well, if you it's a good idea to know them, because the rules are really important if you want to be successful in your studies.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Just one quick note.
Sure.
There are English translations for the examination regulations, but it's important to note that only the German versions are legally binding. So pay attention to this.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, of course, you can also ask us, and you can also look at things up in the glossary that we mentioned before, since translating German is really not easy. Okay, so as you all know, we have a little problem with COVID and Corona, and there are a bunch of informations out there on the TU websites, and we have collected some links here. Sometimes the English version is not entirely complete, so you might have to check the German one also. The final word, yeah. We are here in the MAR building. You can visit us at any times, not just if you have issues. You can also just come here and socialize. And yeah.
Yeah, there's also mate to drink and table soccer to play. So
yes, and we also have an online presence, as you can see. It's probably often helpful to visit it, and we also have collected some more information for the introductory week, and you can find it online, and you can pretty much find everything on our website too. So welcome at the Faculty 4. This is it pretty much. If you have any questions, we'll leave the question room open and we'll answer them now.
All right. I've had an eye on the Q&A, and I've seen that lots of questions have already been answered. But I wanna talk to our online angels. Are there any prevalent questions? Any questions that have been asked quite a lot that we should readdress in this room?
I think most of it has been answered, but there's something I basically left open because I wasn't that sure either, and it was also not just one question, but one that struck home about the two-factor authentication. I mean, as far as I know, it should just work. And if you don't get a mobile TAN, then you should get a list. But I'm not totally sure how this is. So it's basically the first question you see here. You know, I'm not able to log into my enrollment page, although I set up a username and password, because somehow two-factor, also 2FA doesn't work. How to proceed?
Yeah, you should probably actually ask the second, because there might just have been there might just be something wrong with your account. Yeah, the procedure for how provisioning your account works differs from year to year, and they completely revamped it for this semester. So I would probably ask Second, probably even attend, or if possible, attend their office at TU Berlin in the EN building. They have a little, they call it shop, and you can ask your questions there, and immediately get help. Yeah, and are there any other questions from the?
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it's like the usual. Of course, many people are not registered yet. I mean, are not enrolled yet. So basically, I answered most of them with try to get into the ISIS courses. As you already also said in the presentation, you know, try to get via guest access. If it doesn't work, contact us or contact the module people with us in CC. So we also know what's going on. Us in this case is Freitagsrunde, info@freitagsrunde.org. Yeah, because obviously there will be some courses that still have not do not offer this guest access option. So yeah, this should definitely change somehow.
One good tip on that note. So look into the syllabus. So because if everything goes right, then the lecturers already put in their Zoom links, if there is any, into the proper slot, and then you can go into the syllabus and access. So the syllabus is accessible without logging into any account, so you can just go there and find your lectures. You still need to create your schedule within your own calendar, but you at least can find out where everything, or when everything will happen at what location. Go there and yeah, you create your own schedule and attend your first lectures. Try to start with your studies, and that would be the best thing to do, even though TU Berlin might be a bit late, although not as late as with the bachelor students. They have much tougher luck than you, because their registration still probably runs until November, and yours is assumed to be done in the end of October at latest. So hopefully you'll be done rather quickly with your registration.
Okay, then there's something else. I just think we missed to point out earlier, so I just say it without anyone asking. It's about the handing in on sick notes. If you basically were sick on the day of an exam, usually the TU Berlin requires you that the date on the sick note, you know, where you go to the doctor and the doctor hands out that note, is also the date of the exam. So you basically can maybe turn it in the day later, but it should usually still have the right date. So really, as Kai said, go to the doctor right away. It's usually saves you some hassle. There's nothing to add there, right, Gerion?
Yeah, you have 5 days. Yeah, that date is important, but you still have 5 days until to hand it in. But yeah, do it rather sooner than later, because that are not working days. So if you're sick on Friday and you go to the doctor on Friday and get your signal on that day, then you still have until, should be Tuesday or Wednesday for handing it in. So the weekend, counts for every of these 5 days. Maybe another thing really important is that even though you might not be registered yet, as long as you have paid your semester fees, you're able to get a German, it's called vorläufige Fahrtberechtigung. So it's a preemptive ticket. You can get it at the main building. The URL to get it, so you should make an appointment, but from what I've seen today, it's not that busy. You go to tu.berlin- or tu.berlin/Impfsticker. Unfortunately, it's in German. And there you can get an appointment, and then you can pick up your preemptive ticket, student ticket, and also a sticker that tells everyone, or I mean, if you show them that, but that tells others that you're vaccinated, so that you can access lectures more easily if you want to attend lectures in presence.
Okay, then there was something else. I just read it out. I'm still in my home country, and due to COVID-19, I can only arrive in Berlin on 6th of November. Seems like I miss lots of studying programs or lectures. Is there any suggestion for this situation? Is there any very important thing I need to pay attention on?
Maybe the most important thing is you still will be able to start your study. Because I mean, a lot of things are online, even though there are lots of things only offline. There still should be enough for you to attend online, so that you can get started with your studies. And then there for I think it's next week on Friday, there will be a get together from us students after the campus tour. It's organized by the Fach mentoring program, but it's it's planned that these get-togethers happen more frequently, not only once every semester, but maybe every month. So keep an eye open for those get-togethers, so that you can still connect with your fellow students later. Regarding the vaccination stickers and whether you need to be enrolled for them, you don't, or you kind of need to. You need at least to have paid your semester fees, as far as I'm concerned, and you need to have handed in all the necessary document that so that they are probably able to enroll you. That's the thing. Everything has to be right to be able to enroll you, but you do not have to be enrolled formally to get the preemptive ticket and the vaccination sticker. All right. Then.
So yes, you can get public transport tickets before your registration is done, as Gerion said, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there is also one question, whether you can attend German courses if you have or if you do have some proof to attend German courses in the computer science master. Anyone?
I'm not 100% sure, but to my knowledge, there is no such requirement. I think you can simply visit the course. You should just know that if the course language is German, you might not be able to take the exam in English. So you should be proficient enough in German to successfully take the exam.
Yeah, but you don't need to prove it. You prove it with your registration. So if you're enrolled properly, then there is no other limit for taking any courses. If you're registered, you're good to go, and then it's your own responsibility to take the courses that you're actually able to to complete. That's a lot of freedom, but also a lot of responsibility. All right. More questions?
Here, Ehan Safi, you don't take the exams as guest student. The guest access is really just for ISIS pages. I think that basically answers the whole question, because the rest is following from that.
All right, and then there's one thing we intentionally left out. It's regarding the, in German, it's Erklärung zur Aufnahme des Studiums. Or in English, how to translate it? Maybe something like declaration of starting your degree. That doesn't exist anymore. So, or kind of, because actually the website states that it exists and that you should hand it in, but the new general examination and study regulations actually state that you don't. So you just are free to not hand it in ever, and it's perfectly fine. Something that TU doesn't tell you, but that, yeah, that happened, and actually it happened without us really noticing either. We only kind of by accident discovered it, that it has been left out. All right. Do you want to take some question? Yeah, let's go with one. What do you think you're comfortable?
So there's a question whether you can get a student ID before registration if you have everything in place to be enrolled. So until your matriculation is passed, unfortunately, you will not get a student ID. You can only get those guest access accounts for ISIS. And other than that, unfortunately, you have to wait until the process is done. That one's already passed, right? This recorded session will probably be published on our YouTube channel.
I think so too, but definitely the slides will be uploaded, so don't worry, all the links are available. You didn't miss anything.
Yeah. And no, there is no degree specific study and examination regulations, but there are the general examination and study and examination regulations that are that have come into force on 1st of October. Yeah, they're quite new, and they're, as far as I know, have not been translated yet into English. So there is, as far as I know, only the German version, and we tried to translate the most important bits. And on top of that, there is also the new Berliner Hochschulgesetz, so Berlin University law, that has come into force, I think, 2 weeks ago, actually. And that also makes stuff easier, like your general study and examination regulation states that you only have one attempt or you have only 2 attempts for your master thesis. You can only repeat it once. That's not, or that was true until like 2 weeks ago, when the Berlin-wide law states or changed, and it now states that you have 3 attempts, 2 repetitions for your thesis, if necessary. I really hope that you don't have to do your thesis thrice, but if that's necessary, I mean, it's there. So really, yeah, if you need to use it, and I sincerely hope that you don't have to, but if you need to, it's there, and you can go on with it. Right.
How to register, I mean, it's the first question here, how to register for portfolio exams when you are not immatriculated yet. I think usually just contact the responsible person and tell them that they should wait with it, right? I mean, they can't put it into KISS POS, into POS anyway right now.
Yeah, I mean, KISS is not available until like.
So you should actually also, I don't know any portfolio. I mean, if assuming that what Gerion said was right, you get the registration till the end of this month, then you probably won't run into this issue anyway, right?
Yeah, but you still should check with your lecturers, because especially projects tend to oh wait, might have fucked the mic. Am I still can you
Yeah, we
still
hear
hear me?
you.
Okay. Because yeah, some projects actually usually want very early registration, so that you commit very early to the module, because if one of your project members drops out like halfway through, it usually sucks very much for the others. So that might or might not happen in some way, and the lecturers might or might not want to get this commitment. But if they want to register via KISS, then right now there is no option for them to do so.
You should also note that especially for projects, there is sometimes a registration procedure in place specifically for that module, which terminates before the lecture period. So you have to check real early before the lecture period starts. When it starts, for some modules, especially projects, it might already be too late to actually get a slot.
Yeah, so on OneNote, lots of degree programs require you to take at least one project or a project with at least I think 9 ECTS points of ECTS, or 12. I think with information system management it's a 12 ECTS one or something. 6. Okay, it's 9. Okay. So yeah, really look up your study and examination regulations, or go into the presentations that I think happen tomorrow on the different different degree programs, and listen carefully what you have to do to be able to complete your degree, because if you forget to take your project, then it usually sucks a lot, because that's something that you can't really fix in that sense, or you might need to again take some courses, and that would just not be any fun. Other questions? If there are any chance my immatriculation will be declined after I got the Zulassungsbescheid? Yeah, because I mean, if you do not hand in the right documents, then I mean, obviously that step will fail. So this can happen, but it shouldn't. And if you hand in the correct documents, yeah, you should just be aware of that. If you get denied, please head out to the Studien- und Hochschulberatung of the AStA, Study and University Counseling of the Student Assembly, because they, if necessary, they have the option to get in touch with a lawyer and really help you out. But it shouldn't happen. The tickets you can get at the main office. It's tu.berlin/Impfsticker. Maybe Freddy can put it again into the chat. You can get your you can get everything you need right there. The presence certificate, for that one, there was a question whether how you can get a presence certificate for the Erasmus or other scholarship. That can be Wolfgang Brandenburg. That can also be the international office. Depends on who's offering it this week. If you're an Erasmus student, then probably you should get in touch with the international office, because they might be the one location where you can get the information the easiest, and they might also be able to give you the certificate.
And if they're not the right ones to talk to, then they should be able to point you to the person you should talk to at least.
Yeah, Wolfgang Brandenburg would be a good option too. All right. The student advisor told me I can take the exams and the credits will be counted in the next semester if I got immatriculated for next semester. I'm not sure. Depends on your personal study situation. If you already are enrolled in some other degree, then you might be able to take over the credits and still and get them accredited next semester. But you have to have some form of enrollment for being able to take credits, to register for exams. There is no such thing as not being registered within the university and then registering for exams.
Also be cautious because if you're enrolled in another degree program and you want to take modules for a different degree program to which you want to switch later, some of the courses might be limited either to a certain number of participants, or they might require a special allowance by the lecturer for you to take the course if you're from a different degree program. So check this before it's too late, right in the middle of the lecture period, and then you notice you cannot actually take the exams because that's that would be really unfortunate.
And then there is a question about the emails. So I'm not able to log in even though I've entered the right credentials. The credentials are a bit difficult because usually you just use your username and password for logging in, for example, into ISIS or into Two-Port. You just put in your credentials, your username and your password. But for Exchange, you need to put in username at tu-berlin.de. There needs to be this at tu-berlin.de in order for it to function. It's a bit unfortunate and also not very well documented, but it's the case, and yeah, probably that's the issue that's holding you back. All right.
Then I think you answered something quite incorrectly, because what you said with the inf stickers, I think this person was also asking about the public transport thing because they didn't get it earlier. So like if you are not immatriculated and want to have public transport in Berlin, where do you go?
To the same location as the IMF sticker, because you need to
Okay.
your preemptive ticket, you need to get also another sticker on, and it probably also needs to get stamped or something.
So it's basically the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, you need to print it out first from Two-Port, and you need to bring it printed out. That's kind of the issue, and then you get your ticket for 1 month if you head to the IMF sticker place and show it to them, or that's the information that was given to me. And yeah, you can get the vaccination certificate if you don't have a student ID yet. There is another form for that should either be available within Two-Port, or that should be available at the IMF sticker office. Look first at the Two-Port, and then if it's not there, it's probably available at the IMF sticker place. I think it should be available in your Bewerber account, if you're in your applicants account, there should be some option for you to download this these documents.
There was another question, I think, about whether you're able to log in into TU port without immatriculation. That's not the case, right?
You cannot use the full two-port that everyone can use, but there should be a limited one for applicants. And then, want to take that one?
Okay. So there's a question about how much of the semester will be online and how much offline, and whether there are workspaces available. So whether a course takes place online or offline is the individual decision of each lecturer, basically. I mean, it's obviously limited by the spaces available in university, but you always have to check specifically for each module, especially in the master courses. We assume most courses will be online. Some smaller courses with few participants might actually, for example, seminars might actually take place in presence, but you always have to check the ISIS course or maybe the website from the chair. And also for the workspaces, yes, there are some workspaces. For example, you can go to the university library. I'm not sure regarding the current regulations. I think you have to book a slot before.
No, you don't, actually.
Oh, okay, that's not the case anymore. Okay. This was so for a long time now, but yeah.
There are also a lot of learning spaces available around the campus. In theory, maybe you can also come to us, but there is some entries or for foyers, so some lobbies that you can go to and just use as working spaces, and also some rooms that are specifically equipped for doing doing your studies in. And regarding if you're enrolled into TU, then you're registered in the sense of TU Berlin. So that's a proper registration. And then you can take your courses and you can get them accredited later. That's perfectly fine. That's in the sense of TU, that's a proper enrollment. Yeah, and if you're an EIT student, maybe keep your question for the EIT or ICT innovation introductory lecture, because they also might have an idea on how you can get your stuff. I'm not completely firm with the ICT stuff because it's a little special. Yeah, so probably ask them and they'll help you out. All right. I don't see any questions that are still open. If there are, then get in touch with us. Get in touch with the student advisory services. Get in touch with anyone, and they'll hopefully point you to the right direction. And yeah, thank you very much for attending our little program that was scheduled for today. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I can only recommend to you to come visit us here at the Freitagsrunde room. I came here early when I started my master, and I don't regret it. It's a really good place to get information, to get to know interesting people. And yeah, despite all of the current circumstances, we wish you a pleasant semester.
Yeah, come to us maybe next week on Friday when there is the Uni Rally for master students. We'll gladly welcome you here at our room. Have a nice day and see you soon.